Hi YouTube friends, I'm Heidi Villegas with Healing Harvest Homestead, and today we're going to go ahead and talk about using herbs with your chickens. So there are a number of reasons why you should consider, if you have chickens, using herbs with them. In fact, herbs are wonderful for most pets, livestock, they're amazing. But today specifically we're going to be talking about chickens. So let's talk about why you would want to use your herbs with your chicken flock. So number one is immune health. Herbs like especially your mints, your lavenders, your hyssops, your rosemarys, herbs of that kind that have antimicrobial qualities can really help boost the immune system of your birds. Next up is respiratory support. Some herbs, like the hyssop I just named and the rosemary, actually support the respiratory tract for your chickens as well as in humans too. Next up, and this one is one I love, your herbs that have aromatic qualities also will repel mites and lice from your chickens. You can actually sprinkle the powdered herb right into some diatomaceous earth if you want the diatomaceous earth. Some people do, some people don't. It's all good. And just sprinkle it into the coop and into the nesting boxes. It's wonderful. Next up is stress relief. So herbs like your lemon balm, like skullcap or chamomile can be really helpful when you have stressed out birds. And if you are a chicken raiser like I am, then you know that stress in your bird flock can cause a number of different issues, including pecking and eating eggs, things like that. So if you feel like there's something going on, or maybe you've got an extra mean rooster in your flock, consider some stress relieving herbs. Next up is illnesses in general. So garlic and oregano and thyme, these are some of my very, very favorite for just adding to water, adding to the feed of the chickens, and helping with general illnesses that they might commonly get. All right, so there's two types of herbs. You probably know this, but there are perennials and there are annuals. Perennial herbs will die back or go dormant in the fall or winter, and then they spring right back in the early spring, or sometimes for some herbs the summertime. And you don't have to worry about continually planting your perennials because they'll come back. I love perennials. Some of my favorites are yarrow. Let's see if I have some yarrow here. I actually was going through my herbs, and this is why I decided to go ahead and give this little chicken talk. I just pulled out, I noticed that some of these are really good for chickens, and here we go. So yarrow is a wonderful perennial herb. It does grow wild in some places, and this is actually harvested from a combination of my garden, so it's partly cultivated and partly wild crafted from our fields around where I live. Oregano, which I don't have my oregano out right now, but I love oregano. It's easy to grow, and we harvest a bunch of it every single year. Thyme, another amazing member of the mint family. This is lemon balm, and this happens to be a tincture. And yes, you can use tinctures with your chickens, or better yet, a vinegar infusion. But lemon balm is amazing for just calming and soothing your birds. It's also a nice antiviral herb. And then there's comfrey. Good old comfrey. My comfrey's coming up right now as I do this video, and I'm watching the little sprouts come up, and I'm so excited. But comfrey is amazing. It's a very healing herb, and chickens, and let me just say this about animals. Animals will self-medicate, so chickens will know if they need this or not. Next up, there's rosemary, another member of the mint family. Plantain is another favorite, and I love plantain because the birds will peck at the leaves, but they also love the seeds or the psyllium, and that's actually helpful to keep things moving. Sage is another one. Bee balm, peppermint. Let's see if I have more of these here. Spearmint, lavender. All of these are just really wonderful plants. Skullcap. I've got some. That's not my skullcap. Where's my skullcap? Right here. Is wonderful for stress relief too. And then there's nettle leaf. Nettle is a wonderful nutritive herb, very excellent for chickens and humans alike. So again, we're talking about herbs that you can use in your chicken coop and for your flock for their health and wellness. Now we're going to talk really quickly about some annuals. And I'm going to keep this video short. This video could literally be like 4 hours long if I got into all of the medicinal uses and chicken uses, avian uses for these herbs. But I'm just going to let you know what they are, and you can reach out to me if you have questions, or you can actually do a little research or go to my website. I've got more information there on these herbs. So let's dive into the annual herbs now. So your annuals are herbs that you have to plant every year, or they die back in the fall and then they reseed themselves. Some people kind of like to put them in the perennial area, but they're not really perennials. They actually reseed. So these herbs are herbs like chamomile. Ooh, this is all I have left from last summer in the garden. I use chamomile up like crazy. Look how beautiful it is. I just love this plant. Very, very calming and soothing, and also helpful for the birds in general for nutrition and things like that. Basil is another plant that I just love in my chicken coop. Calendula, full of carotenoids. So calendula is one of those plants that we can tell it has a lot of vitamin A just because of the color, and that is from the carotenoids that it contains. But if you want deep, rich yellow yolks, give your birds some calendula in the feed. This is really a beautiful, beautiful plant. And I just want to say, planting calendula is easy and fun, and it readily reseeds itself. In fact, when I lived down in the southern Nevada in the mountains, I just sprinkled the seed out in the yard, and oh my goodness, I had calendula, and then it reseeded itself. I never had to spread any more seed at all. It was beautiful. I had the most beautiful front yard in the mountains of southern Nevada when we lived off grid. Dill is another one. It's wonderful for digestion, as is fennel. Nasturtiums, a wonderful flower. First of all, they're pretty. They're also a nice companion plant, and some people use them as a sacrificial plant because often they'll draw the beetles and things and save your other plants. But they're wonderful all on their own as a respiratory assisting herb, and they have a really nice peppery flavor. So people love them in their salads as well. But they're great in the chicken coop for your birds. Garlic. Antibacterial, it's antimicrobial, it's anti-parasitic. I just can't say enough great things about garlic. Garlic is wonderful. And you can, I like the powder, so I'll just sprinkle the powder in with the food. Or if you want, you can do the granules, and then the chickens have more of a choice. Parsley is another one. And chickweed. Chickweed is very, very nutritious, wonderful plant, and again, it reseeds. So here's some tips about using your herbs, like your lavender and your beautiful calendula, in the chicken coop with your birds. I like to use them fresh in the summertime, and then I dry enough over the summer, and then I can use them in the wintertime as well. So you need to dry enough and kind of plan for enough to dry all winter long. Here's red clover. I forgot to mention this one. This is another one that comes up in our grass every year, and every year I harvest enough to get through the winter, and it's very, very nutritious. It's a legume, and chickens do love it. I'm going to actually these tips. So that was the first one. The first one was to use them fresh in the summer, dried in the winter. The second tip is to sprinkle them in the nesting boxes. So you can sprinkle your herbs just like this. You don't need a whole lot. Just, do a few sprinkles. If you know that your chickens are having stress, sprinkle some skullcap, lemon balm, and chamomile, perhaps a little lavender. If you know that your birds are lacking in some important nutrition, you might want to sprinkle down some nettle, some red clover, some chickweed. Plantain is another really nice one. If your birds are acting like they might have a little respiratory issue or something going on, then yarrow, rosemary, thyme, some garlic. You can see where I'm going with this. So you're going to choose herbs that support your chicken's body, just like you would your own body. Okay, if you want those beautiful rich yolks, of course, you've got calendula. The number 3 tip, bundle them up in the coop. So when you're drying them in the summertime, and you can do this summer or winter actually, wintertime you'd be bundling dried herbs and hanging dried herbs, but hanging them in the coop, especially in the summertime, can really help alleviate fly problems and pests in the coop. Peppermint is a wonderful one. Mice are terrible in the coop, and peppermint is an herb that is really repellent to mice, and so that's one of my favorites in the summertime. Number 4, you can make cleaning solutions for your coop out of your herbs, and I'm going to share a quick little recipe with you here. I'm just going to say it pretty quickly because of time, and then I'll put it in the if you click on where it says read more or show more in the description below, you'll see the recipe. I like to use about a cup of peppermint. Again, peppermint is wonderfully repelling for a lot of pests. 1/4 cup of rosemary, 1/4 cup of thyme, another 1/4 cup of oregano, and if you have them, some organic lemon peels or some orange peels. And then I combine these with 50% vodka and 50% white vinegar. Let them steep for 4 to 6 weeks, even 2 or 3 weeks. And then you're going to strain off the liquid and bottle it up. And you can use that just full strength as it is as a spray for cleaning your coop. Or if you want to dilute it with a little bit of water, you certainly can. Number 5 tip, you can supplement your chicken's food with herbs. And I suggest about 10% herbs in the food of nettle and dandelion. I really think that's a nice percentage and a good addition for your birds, especially for minerals, which we all know that egg layers, need some good calcium and magnesium and potassium, and those herbs, nettle and dandelion, are full of it. So is red clover, by the way. So is chickweed. There are tons of them. Number 6, use your herbs as medicine. So what I like to do is if I have sick chickens, which honestly I rarely do, I can count the number of sick chickens I've had on one hand in the last 10 years. And generally they just get better by themselves, but giving them some herbal supports is really helpful. So what I like to do is make a very strong herbal tea of rosemary and thyme. Just let it steep for overnight, so you've got a really nice tea, and then I add it to their water at about 25%. Even up to 50% if I feel like it's really necessary. And that's a really wonderful way to get the herbs into their system. You can make herbal salves with the herbs, and would be number 7. Also, we're kind of talking medicinal use here, but salves are wonderful to spread on their legs, especially if there's mites and things going on. And I love using calendula, yarrow, and rosemary. Those are my favorite for salves for chickens. If you have wounds or bites or cuts, once the wound, if it's not a puncture wound and if it's not too deep, a comfrey salve is really helpful. Comfrey and thyme. Very nice herbs to use for your chicken flock. All right, so this was a pretty quick overview of some wonderful herbs to use in your garden, like fennel or dill, which are related. You've got spearmint. Your mints are wonderful. Calendula, lavender, chamomile, red clover, skullcap for calming, lemon balm also for calming, comfrey for healing, hyssop for respiratory, your nettle leaf, and your yarrow. Yarrow is kind of an all-purpose wonderful herb, as many of these are. I hope you enjoyed this quick video on herbs you can use in your chicken coop and for your flock to support their wellness and health. And I am now going to go get these herbs put away in the herb storage room. And I will see you in another talk. If you have any questions at all, please ask them below in the comments. I love answering questions about herbs, and I should do one about essential oils with chickens too. You can absolutely work with essential oils and your birds. You just have to know some safety procedures and know which ones are safe for them. With that said, I'm going to sign off. I'm Heidi Villegas with Healing Harvest Homestead, and I am talking to you about herbs for your flock. This was a fun little talk for me. I hope you enjoyed it too. Please subscribe, sign up for your free gifts that I have for you below, and you know what? It's never too late to start learning herbalism. I am going to be opening up my family herbal certification course here soon in mid-May. I hope you can join us for the next student round. I think that would be wonderful. All right, I'll talk to you soon. I'm Heidi Villegas with Healing Harvest Homestead. It was great visiting with you today.